Name is Dr. Kelly. Come on in, Dr. Kelly. How are you today?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Dr. Cali Estes. I'm known as the celebrity addictions coach or the female Dr. Drew. And I work with high-end clients, CEOs, executives, celebrities, and I help get them sober and unpause their life.
Oh, wow. And the title of your story for today is From Homeless to Millionaire. Why did you select that topic?
So I was always poor growing up. We didn't have any money. We didn't really go anywhere. I had two pairs of shoes in high school. I had the same clothes in high school I had in junior high, and I wanted to make money. And I set out on a journey when I was 19 to figure out how to be a millionaire. And I did it.
Wow.
At 32, I made $4.1 million with my fitness company. And I had started it by dumping over a plastic tub and putting up my computer. I didn't have furniture. And just creating a website and building a company. And in 2008, I lost everything in the economic downturn, and all my stuff burned up in a fire trying to move from California to Philadelphia. And I ended up squatting in a house with no heat, no running water, right back where I started. And then
Wow.
I had to figure out how to do it again, how to build myself back up to that level. And I did it again with the addiction and the therapy that I had originally trained in. And I built my brand back up.
Wow. And so what made you an addiction therapist? Why did you choose addiction?
I didn't. I had wanted to be an FBI agent. And when I did my internship at the prison, the male prison, I was the first female. And the warden told me, you can't go learn from the crazy guys. This is way before Criminal Minds. I wanted to be in the BSU. And he said, we can't do that. You're 5'2", 125 pounds. No way. So he put me with the guys that had addiction on their rap sheet. And I thought, this is going to be so boring. And my mentor was ex-CIA. So it was fascinating. I learned body language, and I learned when somebody's lying, when they're, what they're doing. And I became really good at it. And he said to me, this is the field you need to be in because you're really good at this. You're skilled at it. And long story short, I had a little bout with food addiction and diet pills. And I felt like these were my people and I could help. And then from there, I built up my brand.
Oh, wow. So what I'm going to do now, Ms. Dr. Kelly, I'm going to let you take the stage. And I want you to encourage the women who thrive, encourage them how you was able to transition, I guess, in your own way. You ready to take this? You ready to take the mic?
I am, sure.
All right, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. Hopefully will entertain you for the next 20 minutes or so. So to give you some background on myself, I was born and raised in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, which is 40 miles west of Philadelphia. And my family was very poor. We didn't have money for pretty much anything. There was food, there was shelter, that was it. There was no vacation, and there was no fun. There was no entertainment. And I knew as a child growing up, I wanted more for myself. I wanted to be wealthy, and I wanted to help people. So I set out on my journey. I put myself through college, and my first semester at Penn State, I didn't even have money for books. So I just kind of went to class and hoped I passed, and I did. And when it came time to get my master's degree, again, I didn't have money, and I applied for a grant and an assistantship, and I won basically my education for free at Westchester. And I went and did that and got my master's degree in criminal justice and addiction. And then I still wasn't making any money. I was still working for someone else, making about $38,000 a year, realized I had a food addiction, got that under control, got my diet pill addiction under control. And a friend and I said, let's just start a company. We picked up everything we owned in Westchester, PA, and drove to Dallas, Texas, because the rent was cheap. And we got a month free if you have a 13-month lease, split a one-bedroom apartment, and like I had said, flipped over the plastic container, put up the big old laptop, not laptop, remember the desktop with the big console from Walmart, and we sat there and we created a company. We had no idea what we were doing. We just threw up a website as best we could and started Google pay-per-click. And lo and behold, we got our first client. We didn't have anyone to service the client in San Diego, California, but we had the client. So then it became now, what do we do? And we sort of raced around to figure out how do you create the company now that you have the sale. And we did it. And our first year with no staff, we made 100 grand. Our second year, we moved it down to Houston. We got an office. We had 7 or 8 people. and we made 300 grand. And then we said, how do we scale this? And we moved it back to Dallas and rented a penthouse on Commerce Street. And we had 17 in-house staff and 1,000 independent contractors. We had the largest in-home personal training company in the world, right there. And we did $4.1 million in sales our third year. Long story short, the economic downturn came around, much like the coronavirus. It was unexpected. And everybody stopped using their in-home trainer because they couldn't pay their mortgage or their rent. So we lost the company in a matter of 2 months. And at this point, I'm living in California. We had 5 offices, couple houses, couple cars, and watching my cars get repossessed. And I packed up my stuff. I moved back to Philadelphia. And in the process, the moving truck burned up in a fire. So now everything I own burnt up. And I'm literally sitting there at Christmas in Philadelphia where it's cold, in a house with no heat, no running water, with 1 pair of clothes that I was wearing, my laptop, my dog, my djembe, and my phone. That's all I had. And I had to figure out how to get out of the mess. So I went back and got a job making $42,000 a year in the addictions industry, and I hated it. And I sat there and said to myself, there has to be more to life. This is not meant for me. So I started figuring out what I wanted to do. And I met my husband, and we moved to Florida. And in the process, I said, I want to go into private practice. And I quit my job, and he kind of panicked, and he said, how are we going to pay the rent? And I said, I've done it before. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to manifest a company. I got this. So I made some business cards up, again, with no money, put them out everywhere. Panera Bread, I put them out at the gym. I put them out at the vitamin store, Starbucks, everywhere. And in 24 hours, I got a phone call, and I met the person, and I signed him up for my first coaching package, which was $3,000 for addiction coaching. And I came home and I said, I made more in 1 sale than I've made in an entire month working for someone else. And my husband was shocked. He said, wow, that's kind of awesome. So I started building my practice. And I'm coaching people, I'm coaching celebrities, I'm coaching CEOs, I'm building my practice, I'm doing all of this. And as I'm doing it, my husband starts using heroin. And I didn't know because I was traveling a lot. And heroin was not something he had used before. It was a new behavior. I wasn't quite sure what was happening. And as I caught on to what was happening, I started trying to curtail it. I'm hiring coaches and therapists and getting him on methadone and Suboxone and marijuana and all this stuff, and it wasn't working. So as I'm doing this, a competitor, a hater, found out that he was using drugs and had posted online, how good could Dr. Cali really be at what she does if her husband's a junkie? And she's horrible. So this kind of blossomed, and they put his criminal record with my name on it, and it kind of tried to throw me under the bus. And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to let it. I'm going to fix the problem and keep going. When my husband got sober, I said, let's write a book, and let's call it I Married a Junkie. So we did. We wrote a book called I Married a Junkie, and it went gangbusters. And if you want to talk about karma, when it came out, I got on KTLA TV in LA because of the book. And I wrote a nice little note to my hater, thanking him for giving me the title of the book. But not only that, it got me on KTLA where he used to be an anchor. And I said, watch the episode. And I sent it to him. It's kind of a little get back. Since then, I've been on KTLA 9 other times and CNN and Dr. Drew and whatnot. But my story of dealing with adversity from a child and not having anything to not having to starting over and having to deal with the addiction of my husband proves resiliency. And it proves that you can kind of get through anything and moving forward. From that, I started working with my clients in more coaching. And I started saying, let's see what's next. You know, you got the addiction under control. What are you going to do now? Like, what now? And I started coaching women. They started coming to me saying, how did you get through life? I mean, when I was growing up, my dad used to play Russian roulette, and he'd put a gun to my head and pull the trigger. How did you get here? You know, how are you not in a mental institution? So I started coaching women, and I started teaching them about limiting belief systems and how your childhood can hold you back and you can be a victim, or you can use it as a way to be successful. And I chose to be successful. No matter what life threw at me, I chose to go that path. And I started to put these things together, and I noticed there were 7 keys or so that I was using, 7 topics. And one was purpose and passion. A lot of people came to me and they said, we don't know what we want to do. We don't know. Like, I don't know who I am at 45. And I said, let's figure it out. This will be fun. And not only that, I have this limiting belief system of childhood that I can't do what I want to do. So I started teaching them how to break their limiting belief system, how to get rid of the childhood stigma and figure out who they are and which direction they want to go. And as I'm doing this, a big thing that kept cropping up was money. Women have a trouble asking for money. And I kept saying, well, why? Do you know your worth? Do you know your value? You know, whatever you think you're worth, double it. And they thought I was crazy. And I said, you don't know who you are or what you want to ask for. And the one thing I've always been certain of is I know my value. I know what I bring to the table. And you can either pay me or hire someone less. And I always say, if you hire someone that's cheaper, you're going to call me anyway. So go ahead, check it out, and then call me. So I started teaching women that it's okay to ask for money, and it's okay to say, this is what I'm worth. And my price tag is not based on your budget. My price tag is based on my experience and what I can do for you. So as I'm doing this, another thing that came up, another key, was that perception is reality. And if you perceive something, it becomes your reality. So if you perceive you're not good at a task, or if you perceive you can't do something, that becomes your reality. And suddenly you can't do it. And I'm coaching women right now in the coronavirus, and they're saying, I can't get up. I can't get showered. I'm so depressed. And I said, oh my goodness, you should be using this time to invent and create and get online and take a lesson and do something you've never done. I don't care if it's basket weaving. Get online and learn something. This is the time to do that. You've been given an opportunity. It's not a curse, it's an opportunity. And if you look at it like it's an opportunity, it becomes an opportunity. And that's perception is reality. And then I teach women how to fly without a safety net. So many people are afraid of just jumping, just jump and go and do it, because what if I fail? And I always say, well, you haven't tried, so you've already failed. The only thing that could happen is you could succeed or be right where you started. So take the jump, try it, and see what happens. And then I teach them how to vision board. And I show them with a big whiteboard and a big marker how to create what they want. My mantra on my board, and I know you can't see this, it's directly across from me. It says, money flies at me from all directions. I will get big clients this month, and it has a number that I want to hit every month. That's my goal. And it goes up and up and up as the months go on and on and on. So that's my goal, and it's there every day, and I wake up and I see it, and I live it every day, because that's what I'm trying to accomplish. So as I'm working with women, and I put this all together, I decided to come up with another book. Here it is, The 7 Key Principles to Tap into the Wealth Inside You, How to Unpause Your Life. So Unpause Your Life became my tagline, and it was about stopping what you're doing and really living life in the moment and enjoying it, whether it's family, whether it's career, whether it's, you know, financial, whatever it is you want to do, you can unpause your life and love what you do. So I really focused on an area that I felt really needed that additional push. And when I come in, I'm very motivating, I'm very exciting, I'm very authentic would be the word. So I'm not for everybody, obviously. And one of the people that I was working with said to me, you're kind of like a battery recharger, but you're on 11 all the time. And I said, you know, this is me with no caffeine. This is me normal. So it was kind of interesting how people perceive me and how I come across. And as I'm teaching people to do what they do, what's happening is people notice 2 things. They're either really loved or really hated. And if you're really good at what you do, people will hate you, because you're really, really good at what they do. And that level of jealousy will always be there. So you have to be able to overcome that and keep going. So that's my message for you guys today, and my story in a nutshell of what I've done and how I've gotten here. And I started off at the bottom. I started off with nothing, and I had no resources from my family. I had no money from my family. I had no connections. So it's not like I grew up, you know, privileged and money and company and a car and all those things were given to me, and contacts, they weren't. I had to search them out myself. I had to figure out how to get a celebrity clientele with not knowing one celebrity. And I did it. And I strategically did it. And being a female, it's even harder, because if you look at the male motivational speakers, you have Tony Robbins, you have Grant Cardone, you have Pete Vargas, you have Ryan Dice. They're all men. And they have a little circle, and they all hang out together, and they all share contacts and money and product and digital classes. And being a female, it's very difficult to break into that market, and difficult to break into a clientele market where most of the coaches in addiction and the therapists are men. So for example, in my industry, you have Dr. Drew, you have Gabor Mate, and you also have Dr. Amen. They're all men. Published, they're on TV after TV after TV. I couldn't get into A&E because I was a woman. And I kept saying, well, how do I do this? How do I do this? And they kept coming back saying, we don't want women. We want men on the shows. So that's a limiting belief glass ceiling. How do I break that? How do I get to the next level? How do I get involved in the next thing? And I teach my clients that from the beginning. How do you start? Where do you go? And how do you get there? Like, what is your path? What is your roadmap? And everybody's roadmap is different. So just because something bad happened or something bad is happening doesn't mean that's your future. And right now we're looking at the coronavirus. So right now you have a choice. You can sit around in your pajamas, eat ding dongs, ho-hos, and bonbons, and you can binge watch Netflix. By the way, Ozark is fantastic. But you can sit there and do that, or you can get online and say, what can I learn? What can I do? How can I monetize this? Can I create a class? Can I teach somebody something? I have a personal trainer friend who obviously can't do personal training. And he's complaining, he doesn't have any money, he doesn't have this. And I said, go live. Charge $10, do your workout, and people will follow you. So he finally tonight went live, and he texted me, he said, Cali, I got 8 people to sign up for my 6 p.m. class that I don't even know, not even his clients. He just put it out on Facebook and LinkedIn, and he said, I just got all these people to sign up. I just made some money. I said, yeah, that's how you do it. You just do it. Because what happens if you fail? Well, you haven't done it either way, so failure and not doing it are pretty much the same. So that's what I do. I teach people skill sets. I teach people how to get sober using skill sets. I always say, your addiction's not your problem. It's a solution to your problem. What's your problem? And addiction can be anything. It can be shopping. I know Amazon Prime is hot. It can be gambling. It can be sex. It can be porn. It can be drugs. It can be alcohol. It can be sugar, food. There's a lot of people that medicate and self-medicate utilizing sugar and food. So those are addictions. And people say, well, how do I know I have an addiction and not just a vice, right? Well, you have an addiction if it's hindering what you're trying to do. And what I mean by that is if it's hindering your job, it's hindering your work, it's hindering relationship, it's hindering finance. If you don't have any money because you're buying shoes and you have 30,000 pairs of shoes, you don't need shoes. And it's affecting your finances. On the flip side, you might have a problem with drugs or alcohol that's affecting your job. Or if your boyfriend or loved one says to you, hey, you've been on your phone for 3 hours. Hello, I'm sitting right here. You might have an addiction to Facebook. So if it's impacting relationship, financial, or job, that's how you know you have an addiction, and you probably need a little help. So it just depends on where you are and where you're trying to go and how to get there. And I see one of the followers says, I've been clean and sober for 18 years. Congratulations. That's awesome. That's wonderful. That's hard to do. It's difficult to be clean and sober, especially now. Alcohol has gone up 55%. That's crazy, because we're sitting around with nothing to do. I guarantee you sugar addiction has gone up 55% or more alone. I know I had cheesecake in the house yesterday, and they were buy one, get one. So I may or may not have had 2 cheesecakes in the house, full self-disclosure. But these are things that happen in response to what's happening in our environment. And it can be detrimental or it can be positive depending on how you look at it. So I would love if you guys are on and have any questions or want to ask me anything. I would love to answer anything you have. Again, my 2 books are The 7 Key Principles to Tap into the Wealth Inside You and I Married a Junkie. Both are on Amazon, both are on Kindle or hardback. And if you guys are looking to find me, I'm at theaddictionscoach.com. I'm also at caliestes.com, which is my first name, last name. You can see my coaching and my addiction. And I also started the largest online school to teach people how to do recovery coaching, intervention, and counseling. So we are in 25 countries. We're in 5 languages. We have 30 teachers around the world. The entire country of Canada and Curacao actually bought our manuals. And that company is called theaddictionsacademy.com. So if you're interested in taking a class and learning how to be a recovery coach or help somebody who has an addiction, a family coach or sober companion where you stay with somebody, that would be the company. And that's called The Addictions Academy, plural.com. And you can see everything on there. And we did a buy one, get one class on the expanded package. So if you're looking for education while you're sitting around, need something to do, feel free to check that out. You can also find me on social media. I'm on Instagram as Dr. Cali Estes. I'm on Facebook as Cali Estes. I'm on LinkedIn as Cali Estes. And I'm on Twitter at The Addictions Co. Only because it wasn't all fitted, I would have put it all in there. So that's how you can find me. I would be more than happy to talk to all of you.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Cali. That was a lot of information. And I have one question for you as we bring closure to your interview.
Sure.
If someone was listening to you and they are at that place and they feel like they're homeless, or they may not even be homeless, but they feel like they're stuck and they need to take the next step, and they may be dealing with addiction. It could be shopping, it could be drugs, or it could be food. How will you encourage them today as you bring closure?
So the mantra would be from survive to thrive. And you have to think of it, today you're surviving, tomorrow you're going to be thriving. What do I need to do to get there? Who can I reach out to that can help me get there, or who's willing to give me a piece of advice or a little assistance to get there? And that's what you want to focus on.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Cali. And we're
Thank
so
you.
excited and we're thankful to have you on today. Hopefully you have learned something from Dr. Cali. And before she inform you that her website is www.theaddictioncoach.com. And addiction is with the S. So hopefully you can see it scrolling down at the bottom.